You're listening to the Tuesday Review. I'm Nathan, as always, joined by James and Callum in the studio. How you going, boys?
Not bad.
Not bad.
So we got an interesting one this week. We got approached by a gentleman by the name of Max. I haven't got his surname on the top of my head.
Well prepared.
Well
Wartendijk.
prepared. We are, as always, well
Max Wartendijk.
To be fair, it wasn't a name that would immediately stick in my head. It's
No.
not like a Smith or a
Wartendijk.
Jones.
Could
Yeah.
have written it down.
I could have. I have it in front of
Yeah.
me, alright?
We
But I
don't
had to get
prepare-
my phone out of
So
my pocket.
if you've listened to this show, you know we don't prepare anything anymore because none of us have any time
Also,
or energy.
we're a lot happier now that we don't prepare.
Yeah.
A gentleman by the name of Max, who also acted in the movie, produced the movie, it's a very small indie movie, approached us about talking about his latest movie, Brightwood,
Mm-hmm.
which is coming to Australia, I guess, in a wider release fashion from the 21st of March. So the releasing of this on the podcast tomorrow, it'll be coming out the next day. So it's coming out
Yeah.
Thursday for us.
Yeah. But it is on a Tubi at the
But
moment.
it's also on Tubi.
Yeah. So I don't know. Did he say where it was releasing?
This is the Australia, UK, and Irish release on the 21st of March. I guess maybe just a wider release. It's already on Tubi.
But it's already on Tubi. But where else would it?
iTunes,
yeah.
Prime, like the storefronts.
Okay, the storefronts maybe. Yeah.
Maybe even a Blu-ray release. Who knows?
I think that would be cool. Yeah. But
You can order your DVD of Brightwood or Blu-ray through Kino Lorber.
oh, cool.
Yeah, so they are selling physical media. So if you look up
Oh.
Brightwood Kino Lorber, you can buy it
I'm gonna get
or
that.
pre-order it.
Yeah.
No, you've got to save money.
Actually, yeah, I do have to save money. Yeah, so it's a Brightwood is a sort of micro budget American.
Is it their
Thriller?
debut film?
Yeah, it's written and directed by Dane Elcar.
It would help if I bring up the press release they kindly sent to us.
Oh well, yeah. See, this is the thing. It's like even when we have the material, we
I
don't.
know, that's it. Oh, Alum's also joining us in the studio, fashionably late.
Yeah.
Sorry, as a wizard is never late, he arrives precisely when he means to.
Yeah.
So available on all platforms, including Amazon Prime, Apple TV, and Google Play from Thursday, the 21st of
okay.
March. So it's currently available on Tubi, but if you want to support the film, then you can purchase it through those storefronts.
Yes.
And watch it ad-free.
Yeah.
So basically, the movie is about two kind of, or a couple in a relationship.
Yeah, married couple.
They're going for a jog.
Yeah, around
and
the pond.
Yes, around a pond, and they can't exit the pond. They get
Well,
stuck.
They can't. Yeah, there's a trail around the pond. Actually, I should say I watched the movie not knowing anything about it, which
is the best way to
is
watch
the best
a
way to
movie.
watch any movie. But I think this movie especially. But also, we're kind of talking about it. We're not going to spoil anything, but yeah, it's like it's fun when you're watching it and
Yeah.
you don't know what the
Yeah.
hell it is, like
Yeah.
what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But basically, like for us to sort of review it, we have to sort of give
Give a
the
description.
synopsis at least.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a married couple. They go for a jog around the pond. They're having like
Back and forth.
a tiff,
yeah.
a quarrel, and their marriage they've been married for a long time, or they've been together for a long time, and it's starting to get the relationship's starting to get rocky, and they're going around the lake, arguing, or the pond, which is just a small lake. Is that what he says in the movie?
That's the discussion in the film. Yeah.
And then they realize that the trail they came through the woods to the pond is gone. So they're trapped basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it starts getting like
Weird and horror.
weirder and weirder, and they can't escape. There's no escape.
How you going, Al?
Good.
Did you watch the movie?
Yes, I did.
Oh, very
Oh,
good.
good.
How did you feel about it?
Well,
No spoilers.
Opening
Yes. Oh, yeah.
statements. Yeah.
I'd say, especially for a independent film,
Yeah.
quite well done. Good use of limited characters, limited
Yeah.
actors. And a nice, I guess, uncomfortable horror-esque.
Yeah, there's
Film.
a tension.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say one thing. I don't know if Max is going to listen to this, but in the
We should-
email, he described it as the horror of long-term relationships. Now, I would qualify that by saying, no, I think the movie is rather about the horror of a toxic long-term relationship that you can't get out of. Or you can't,
Yeah.
or kind of
Yeah,
like people are growing and they're not like, I guess, growing together anymore. They're growing apart.
Yeah.
It's kind of those themes. It's not
Yeah,
necessarily just about all relationships.
Yeah, because I think it's what happens when you don't fix a relationship when it starts to go bad,
Mm.
and then it ends up it
Yeah.
festers.
Yeah,
so it's
yeah.
not like
Without spoiling anything,
Yeah.
it's hard to kind of dance around. But I don't know. I don't know, Max. Is everything okay? Like, saying it's about all relationships.
Yeah, but what was Dane who wrote it? Is he okay? No.
Wait, isn't Dane the lady?
No, that's Dana.
That's Dana.
Yeah.
I'm getting confused.
all right,
That's
so
why I was
let-
like,
So
Dane
Dane-
doesn't sound
yeah.
like much of it.
So it's a micro budget sort of thriller. It was shot in 2021.
In New Jersey, I think.
Yeah.
A COVID movie?
Yeah.
Nice.
And it sort of played in festivals in 2022, and then it was sort of released on Tubi in 23 in the US, and now this year it's getting a wide release on streaming in Australia. Written and directed by Dane Elkar. There's only two characters, like Alan was saying, but it uses it really well. There's Jen, played by Dana Berger, and then Dan, played by Max Wartendijk, who's also the producer who hit us up. I think it, for a really low budget movie, it uses that sort of two characters and one location really well.
yeah.
Obviously, like it looks fine. But obviously it's low budget, so you can tell that. But I think what kept me engaged was the characters and the dialogue and the banter and the arguing and the...
Look, there is a science fiction element to, like
Yeah.
I said, the path disappears. And
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Like it's kind of like, you walk through one end and you end up at the beginning.
But yeah.
I speak for myself and a lot of other people around the world
Mm.
when I say I'm a stickler for that trope.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like you had me, the minute that path disappeared, you had me for the whole film.
Yeah.
Because I need to know.
Yeah, 100%.
I need to know.
But
Like, this was a good film.
yeah.
But even if the film was terrible, I still have to finish it because I still got to know.
Yeah, you got to know, yeah. But I think it wouldn't be enough if it was just that mystery or whatever. But I think it has enough with the characters there that I was enjoying, and I enjoyed what I think I ended up liking most about the movie is it balances tones and genres really well. Like it's kind of like a romantic drama / comedy.
Just the jokes about the thinning hair.
Yeah, that's so
Initially when
good.
that happened, is you had more hair. I was like, oh, that's a
Yeah.
low blow. And it just continues.
The whole movie
The whole
full of
movie
low
goes
blows.
like that. Yeah,
Yeah, he
or when
our
there's,
boy
like-
Dan suffers in this movie.
Yeah.
Like there's that line.
Max, you got plenty of hair, mate. Don't worry.
There's that line where she says, "I can smell your teeth rotting," and I'm like, yeah.
That's harsh.
Like, you can just say you don't like the man. You
Yeah.
don't have to.
No, but
Sorry. Just a quote. I think I'd be happy with someone else. I think you're going to die alone.
alone. Yeah,
I wrote that down in my notes.
yeah.
I was like, that is
Actually,
so
it says-
unnecessarily harsh.
But like, I think it's that. I can't remember if it's that scene or not where she's like, it's over. Like you're moving in back in with your mother, and he's like, I don't want to call her and she's like, you just do it. We're done. And he's like, I'll email her. I laughed out loud. Like there's several moments in this movie that I actually laughed like out loud. Like I thought it was really well written. But also on top of that, there's the more kind of scary thriller
Lynchian,
elements,
almost Lynchian.
horror.
Well, a lot
yeah.
of the sound effects reminded me of The Return.
Yeah.
The Twin Peaks, The Return.
Yeah.
There's a
The
lot of
droning.
Yeah.
warbling. I
Yeah.
really like that. There is a
It's
Lynchian undercurrent to this
yeah,
whole
because the
film.
whole thing has an unsettling. Even when they're making jokes or
Yeah.
it's just they're arguing or whatever, there's always this kind of undertone of like
Yeah.
there's something not right here.
And we were talking before the show about how it's also very similar to Benson and Moorhead's work. It
Yeah.
has that same low budget but like high concept vibe
Yeah,
that
especially
they pull off very well, and Brightwood
Yeah.
pulls it off as well. It has like that
Especially-
interesting budget take on
Yeah.
sci-fi.
especially with the timey kind of loopy kind of sci-fi stuff. It's like
Yeah.
Resolution, Benson and Moorhead's first film, or yeah. I mean, there's a lot of great movies with this sort of concept. But I think this one kept me engaged because it juggled tone so well and genre so well. And so like the whole time I was like, not only did I want to see where the sci-fi element or the horror element went, I wanted to see like where the character side went as well.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure my boy Dan was safe and he's okay.
Yeah.
Because
I was, yeah.
Jen will be fine. We need to look after Dan.
My one problem with the film is I do think that Dan should have been more of a dick. If Jen's gonna be so harsh towards Dan,
yeah.
When you watch the film, it's very one-sided.
It doesn't exactly paint it as like
Yeah.
a 50-50 trouble.
That's what I'm saying. If
relationship.
the premise of the film is about like every day they're together,
But-
they're killing each other.
But as I said
Right.
this to Callum, I guess also
But
in a way, content warning for domestic
kinda. Yeah.
manipulative, abusive relationships, I guess.
Well,
Relationships like that exist in real life
Maybe,
too.
yeah. But also like he's
He's lazy.
a
maybe-
dropkick as
yeah.
well.
He's
like
also
Yeah,
been
yeah.
shown to...
he might not be outwardly mean.
As a subpar man, you know, no, like this is you know,
Charlotte feels attacked.
yeah, exactly right.
So I'm gonna write that down just in case we need a show title, episode title.
It's no swimming.
So no swimming, yeah. I was
no,
gonna say
but-
stupid amount of time,
Yeah,
which
stupid
is
amount of
a
time.
line they say in the movie.
No, but like my point is that like he's not like a hero of man. He's not Aragorn, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the same time, the way it's positioned in a film is if you're going to make a film about like being stuck in a toxic relationship, I feel like for a film, more like a novel's a different story because you have a longer amount of time, you've got the introspection of a novel, blah, 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 blah. But for a film, they need to kind of be equal in their toxicity. And the premise is, you know, they're stuck in this relationship that's just not working. And I feel like it needs to be more of a 50-50 split with the toxicity because I shouldn't be watching the film
No, but
having feelings about how Dan is one way and
Yeah, but again,
Jen.
though, that's kind of also the point. Is
but
it's not
it's
always
a movie though. It's not real
It's
life.
not always divided equally.
No, I think
And there
I
are-
understand what Callum's saying, but
it's
I
not-
didn't have.
If it was a drama, then yeah, that's correct. Because in dramas there is an imbalance.
Yeah,
Because that's the whole point.
Well,
that's what moves a
that's
drama
why
It is
forward.
part of it.
That's what I was saying about this movie balancing genres so well. Is like it is a relationship drama. It's also a relationship comedy. It's also a
Yeah, but,
horror, thriller,
he's-
sci-fi.
with.
Callum,
and
but
to
he's
Jen's
Dan
credit-
is still enabling her
Yeah.
to say all this by not leaving her, and
Yes.
he's
Well,
staying
you know,
in that toxic.
He's trying to keep it
relationship.
going while also like
Not putting anything in.
and also doing negative things like allegedly hitting on
Yeah.
a coworker
Yeah.
Yeah.
who's a 54-year-old woman with 20-year-old kids.
And then
Yeah.
he was like, huh? Really?
Like he's obviously doing negative things actionably in the relationship, which is where I think Jen's issues are stemming from,
Yeah.
and then she's talking about them in the way. Because I think if he was doing his best, let's just say for argument's sake, I don't think his response would be similar. It could be in some cases.
But also, some people just treat each other like that behind
Yeah.
closed doors. You know, some relationships aren't perfect. Some relationships are a bit abusive in that way.
Well, that's kind of part of the movie as well. Is like
Like what we show
They
at
still-
the outside world is not what they show each other
Yeah.
behind closed doors.
they still love each other, but does the relationship work? Should it continue? And that's part of the story. That's part
Yeah.
of the because the sci-fi element and the horror element is obviously an allegory for their
I-
relationship and what they're
Yeah.
going through.
I wrote a sentence. I put my literature cap on. I wrote a sentence, and I'm going to bring the show down with my stupidity. I'm just going to read this out loud because I was really proud of it when I wrote it. I put the loop, such as it is, represents their marriage. Every day they stay together, they're killing each other over and over. So that's what the loop is. It's that,
Yeah, that's
know,
fair enough.
and I'm like, that's kind of what that represents, I guess. Is
they're
like
trying-
They're
Yeah.
stuck. They're stuck in
Yeah,
an
and they're
endless
trying to find a way
marriage.
forward.
They're trying to find
But
a way
they can't.
forward, but they
Yeah.
just keep looping around.
yeah.
Um,
And also, as awful as Dan is, apparently, she could have left at any time. Just saying.
Yeah, well,
but
that's
I
also
mean,
the kind of the point of the movie.
that's exactly
Yeah.
exactly. It's like they're both kind of enabling each other, and they're both, but they're like I said, they're still in love with each other, but also,
I think that's putting it charitably.
no, I think there are moments where they show that they're still in love, especially towards the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's. I remember when we talked to friend of the show Darcy Yule about his movie One Punch, and I know I've brought this up before, but I like to say it because it stuck with me. Is no one's gonna like give you the money to do it. No one's gonna give you permission, so just do it. So I really appreciate Brightwood for just being like, the writer director had a good idea, and he's like, I'm just gonna go out and make it. And even though it's not the most polished Hollywood super movie ever,
It still looks pretty great.
it
for
looks
what,
good.
Yeah.
It's well edited. It's like well shot.
We've
and
seen worse looking movies with a much higher budget.
100%. And also, I actually read that it was shot on non-consecutive days because the park was still open, the pond was still open. So there were people like just having picnics and walking around and kids playing. So they had to like shoot around all that. So that's even more impressive because the movie does so well. You'd think that they've got this whole area blocked off and were able to shoot there for a while over a few days. But no, they had to shoot when they could and around
People using the park.
public,
yeah.
the public activity.
Especially, I guess, in the time the movie is based, it's probably going to be a popular time at the park as well. It's going to be a sunny day.
Yeah,
You know, so like you can't be like, oh, we'll come back when it's overcast or dark. No, you decide to film. Well, the film is set up, I guess, in that time frame.
yeah,
That's
So
one
you have
thing.
to come back in
We
that
should do
time.
a special on guerrilla films one day.
yeah.
There's some really great.
Well,
guerrilla
that's
films.
why.
King
Like,
Kong
I
movies?
actually, this is
Yes.
this is one of my. This
What do you
is
want?
what?
Like Cal said, King Kong movies. I was like, yes.
Oh, Gorilla, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Well, this is actually something I was going to say because we were joking earlier that, we don't have time to prepare. And I actually was like, after watching this, I was like, I wish we got an interview with Max before we did this.
yeah.
So and the same thing when we reviewed The Last Deal, I was like, we should have gotten, because like the behind the scenes is just as interesting with these smaller films because it's like
There's a
the
story going on there.
yeah the restrictions, the restraints of budget
Yeah.
and time
Look,
and
we
And
can
also,
always
like-
try and set something up.
And also
see
with,
what-
Yeah.
with Hollywood movies, it's very business-like. It's very
yeah, and there's a big crew and a
yeah.
Yeah.
But with like the smaller movies, it's like it's just sometimes it's just dudes
Oh,
and ladies
sometimes
figuring it out.
yeah
Sometimes the big movies do it wildly, like Leaving Las Vegas, shooting without permits on the strip, baby.
Yeah.
Same as Tokyo Drift, where they had a fall guy. They're like, quick,
Yeah.
get in the cars, go, go, go.
oh really
Yeah.
in Japan
Yeah, because there's a lot of like.
oh
paperwork
because
and
it's very
bureaucracy.
yeah
And they're just like, just film it, and if somebody
Yeah.
gets caught, that's the fall guy, and he's like, okay.
yeah but those are still like
yeah.
it's like those are in small instances of guerrilla shots in larger
Yeah.
productions, whereas this is like the whole movie is just like
Yeah.
we got to do it. Yeah, and I really appreciate that, and it adds extra layer of appreciation. But do you remember last week we were talking about Carnage Pack?
Yes.
And I was saying I appreciate the low budget, like they just made this kind of
Yeah.
pretty ambitious kind of horror thriller.
Yeah.
But for me, it didn't really connect because I was like, I wanted more from the characters, and I want, they should have cut this, that. This is an example of an even lower budget movie that,
Pretty much
Kept
stuck to
me-
its vision.
yeah,
as
and
well.
it kept me more engaged because it was better written and it knew what it was going for and it went for that.
Well, everyone has an opinion. I think they're very different movies.
no, it was just an example. It was just an example of like two low budget films.
Yeah. Also, Carnage Park has a sniper, man. Come on, like bam, bam.
Yeah, but like I said, didn't use it effectively. But it's an example of like any low budget movie.
Yeah. You
obviously,
gotta know what you're
it
doing. You
doesn't-
gotta have that idea crystallized in your mind.
Yeah,
And then you have to know how you want to execute it with the means you've got.
exactly. But
Yeah.
also like you're already on the back foot because you don't have the polish of a
Yeah.
or budget of a bigger film. So, because there are big budget movies that look nice, but are kind of not very good, or, characters aren't very good, whatever. But the production is like lifts it up. Whereas this is like the opposite. Whereas the production's good for what they had, but the kind of story and the characters and the writing is what really lifts it up.
Yeah.
And it actually makes it even better than the polished Hollywood film, because you appreciate it more, like what they did.
Yeah.
I'm making it sound like it was like look like crap. No, it's a good looking
Yeah.
movie and it was shot well and it was edited well. But I'm trying to
But you're just basically saying, like One Punch, they use what they have extremely effectively.
yeah.
And you can turn a no-budget movie into looking like something
Yeah,
real
I mean,
nice.
Yeah.
you know, you go
Just by using your brains.
you
Yeah.
revisit One Punch, and that film looked great, and that was shot on an iPhone.
Yeah.
You know, I remember we talked about just how far technology's come.
But
Except the glaring technical error when Alan was like, they're going the wrong way down the city link.
Oh,
No,
that, yeah,
yeah,
that
that
doesn't
was
have
true.
anything to
But
do
my
with it.
point is
just
that-
quickly on technical errors. I think it was about 40 minutes in the scene where they
In Brightwood.
where
Yeah.
they go back to that side path that sometimes pops up
Mm.
with the little bricks at the bottom. They were approaching the clearing there, and on the left hand side of the screen you see some like gear setup.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I'm like, I got you guys.
That's just part of the loop. That's just part of the sci-fi weirdness. Yeah. It's actually, yeah, there's a lore. There's a
It's
lore
part of the deep
explanation.
canon,
Yeah,
yeah.
the canon.
No, but it's the democratization of filmmaking, right? It's
Mm.
like all the resources are mostly within reach for people. If you know what I mean, like you can shoot a movie
It's
with your
still-
iPhone, but
yeah.
you know, in circumstances like Brightwood and Carnage Pack,
Yeah.
I'm sure they had more resources than just an iPhone.
Yeah.
You know, like, but rudimentary.
But even
speaking,
then, yeah,
anyone can just make a movie.
It's like technically anyone can, but it's still hard. And
Oh,
not
yeah.
only is it hard to make the movie, especially a feature film, but to make it engaging and interesting and fun, like Brightwood.
Like, it takes lots of effort. You have to get off your bumps.
Yeah, because anyone can make a movie, but yeah, for it to be good, that's the hard part.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I ended up I technically watched it twice because I watched it last night properly, and then I put it on again today while I was working, sort of in the background. Yeah, I really appreciate it. I ended up liking it a lot just because, yeah, it's just what you can do with little
Yeah, I mean, you look at
when
Resolution.
you're talented. Yeah.
Resolution was small,
Yeah.
and then you look what happened to those guys. They blew up a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's like, hopefully this is the start of something special for these people.
Yeah, I hope so.
Because there is definitely a market for your smaller, cheaper sci-fi horror.
Mm.
It seems to, like, people seem to really dig it, and it has its own little market.
Especially, yeah, because I mean, there are so many movies with similar concepts, like I was saying before. But like, this is going to sound wild, but I like this movie more than like Palm Springs, which is like a time loopy kind of.
I appreciated Palm Springs more because I like some of the
They're very
comedy
different.
elements.
They're very
Yeah.
different films.
But again, they're very different. But I'm like, that's a more sort of that's not a huge budget
That's more
movie,
of a mainstream
but it's a
film.
polished mainstream with
Andy Samberg.
well-known actors.
Yeah. And what's her
um,
name? She was in How Much Mother.
Yeah, I know.
Or
Yeah.
Kobe Smulders or whatever.
No, no, no.
Alison Hannigan?
Nah.
Oh, I know who you're talking
yeah.
about. Yeah, I can't
Anyway.
remember her name.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's just like I like this more than that because I thought that movie was just okay, and I ended up liking this more, even though, like I said, it's not as polished or whatever. It was more engaging, and it didn't feel as
I will say the pacing on this is great.
yeah.
Because it's only a small film. It's like an hour 20, right?
Yeah, it's like
80
84
85
minutes,
minutes, yeah.
85 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, it packs a lot in.
Actually, like I was like, I could go a longer version.
I look again without spoiling anything. There's questions that are unresolved.
Yeah.
at the end of the
Yeah,
movie.
I
that's
think-
one thing that there's stuff that don't pay off, which is always a shame, especially when you start to get into the more interesting elements, the mysteries.
Yeah,
they just
yeah.
kind of leave open ended.
Mm.
I mean, I guess all the allegorical questions are kind of answered, right? But then it's like this kind of some of the sci-fi stuff is left unresolved.
Yeah,
And I'm like, I wanted to know more about that stuff
Yeah.
too.
yeah.
So that's
There's definitely-
I could do a longer version where they maybe explore some
Yeah.
of that, but then maybe that would also risk some of the the message. I don't know.
No, yeah, I think again it just comes back to they were working with what they had, and I'm sure it'll be.
Was it really a no swimming lake?
Asking the important questions.
I don't.
Save that for our interview.
Yeah, I
Was it-
don't.
could
This
you
is
really
this is
not
the things I
smooth
want to
on
know.
the
I
lake?
want to
Yeah.
know how they made it, and
Did
know.
you get fined?
That's
for
like the
swimming
one
in
question you
lake?
get
Yeah.
the interview with the guy and you're like, was it really a no swimming lake? He's
Yeah.
like, yes. Like, okay, see
How
you,
many
bye.
how many pairs of headphones did you have to buy?
Yeah. Did you have a deal with Apple?
Yeah, I'm looking at them. I'm like, those got to be like knockoffs because you wouldn't buy that many just to throw them in the dirt and put fake blood on them.
How many hoodies do you have? Do you still have the hoodie?
Yeah, can we have a hoodie?
Yeah, they'd be like, we're never sending screeners to these guys ever again.
No. Yeah. No, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. If
It's a running start for a directorial debut.
yeah,
I think it's also interesting because, you know, we live in a world where most of the movies that come out in cinemas, and we complain about this all the time, they're your Marvel movies, the Disney movies, the kind of the big picture movies, and they're all the same. And they're mostly garbage.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's really nice to have a no-budget indie movie come out, you know, being released, I guess, in wider distribution in Australia.
yeah.
It's today.
Yeah.
You know, it's on Tubi.
I mean,
it's going to be
well,
on the digital store.
We've talked.
I think
But I want these kinds of movies in cinemas too.
We've talked to death
That's
about,
true, yeah.
about how the problem is once you get so big, there are more cooks, and you might have more money, but you also have less creative freedom.
yeah,
Whereas the smaller you get, the less money you have, but the more creative freedom.
Yeah.
So you can get away with telling more interesting stories without fear of, you know, the producer.
yeah. You don't have to worry
you
about
know, taking the
censoring
bank card away.
yourself or
I
yeah.
just think we need a wider industry here in Australia in terms of theatres.
You know,
Like, we
I
need
don't know if
more-
I've talked about this on the show before, but if you go to England and you look at the BBC, the way it's so healthily funded, at least it used to be, I don't know about now, but like the BBC would produce world class content like on the regular, and you look at the ABC, and because of the various political issues with ABC and the funding issues, we barely get any content compared to international local
Yeah.
content creation. Imagine a world in which the Australian movie scene is booming with little movies like this, like just
Well,
constantly.
I feel like
and-
there are
and TV.
there
and-
are like
No, but not
Aussie
in
movies.
theatres.
Yeah, that's one
BBC
thing.
movies often come out of theaters as well. That's
Yeah,
like my
I mean,
point is like
They
the
also
Australian
they have
scene
what is it? Is it called Film 4? Like
Yeah.
they have, and then they have the
Yeah.
lottery, the
Yeah.
National Film Lottery or whatever it's called.
Yeah. Like just
Yeah.
imagine if
sh-
like we had like more support in Australia because
Yeah.
we have a big, a
I'm not
relatively
even
big
talking about
population.
just
There are-
local content though. I'm talking movies of all sizes.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I think there are a lot of great little movies like this that we would never see. And I think, you know, thanks to Max, like putting it out there and asking us.
because this, I would have
Um,
loved to see this at the theatres.
Yeah, but it's like we whether you see it at the theater or not, we probably wouldn't have ever known this movie existed
Yeah.
unless he hit us up, which he did. And so I'm glad we have the opportunity to, you know,
Put it out there,
put the
yeah.
word out that it is there. So if
I guess that's the other thing. There's just also so much content out there.
That's the
It's
thing.
hard to pass. You've
Yeah.
got all the different services. So many things come
And
in every
like-
day. People are time poor.
yeah, it's
Like
it's.
we barely have time to do everything we need to
I
do
think
for the
we've
show.
I think we've talked. Yeah, we've also talked about how a lot of people just watch the same thing over and over again because it's easier to do that than like finding something new that you're gonna like. Yeah, and there's just so much out there, and you're spoiled for choice, and you don't know what's going to be good and what's not.
yeah.
And there are so many little movies like this that unfortunately people don't get to see them.
Yeah, so if you get the chance, please check out Brightwood. We enjoyed it.
Yeah,
It's coming out. It's on Tubi. Also coming out on Amazon Prime Video, Apple TV, and Google Play digital platform storefronts.
Yep.
Being released through the Cinephobia, kind of, I guess.
That's their
boutique digital release platform kind of label.
no. That's the production
Well, it says yes.
thing,
the,
wasn't
the,
it? Oh, okay.
company
The production
yeah.
company. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so look, this movie won all kinds of awards as well when it was doing its
Festivals.
festival circuits. But it's important we see these kinds of small movies if we want to see more of them.
Yeah.
Any other last thoughts before we go to a quick break?
No, I think maybe we'll talk to Max, see if we can get an interview, and
Yeah, I've got
maybe
questions for
maybe
him.
we'll revisit the movie later on.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Right, we'll be back right after these quick messages. You are back on the Tuesday review. So go see Brightwood. Moving on, Callum has an update for us on his favourite movie that he's seen once and will never see again, The Maiden.
That's right. So, as listeners might remember, we did MIF last year, our very first MIF. And one of the movies we rattled off was a movie called The Maiden, which was my favourite movie from MIF, if not the whole of last year. And it was one of those things where a lot of the movies we saw at MIF have either come out in some capacity or will be coming out soon.
Yeah.
And The Maiden was just radio silence.
Yeah.
And like for context, like I tried to find the director online, I can't find him anywhere. So it's like not just the movie, but some of the people behind it are just ghosts. You know, maybe they were never real all along.
Maybe that's part of the marketing of the movie to tie in with
I
the
know.
themes.
It's like
of
a
the
Cannibal Holocaust situation where they all had to hide in hotels to make people think the movie was actually
Real.
documentary footage.
yeah.
And then they got sent to court and had to prove their innocence in court. So they brought out the actors. And go, look, they're not dead. True story.
So anyway, it turns out I'm kind of dumb because I was telling James about it, and he's like, "Why don't you just message the production company?" And I was just like, "Ah." So anyway, I contacted MDFF, which is a micro whatever fiber, but anyway,
Production company behind the movie, yeah.
yeah, I can't remember what the acronym
Doesn't
stands
matter.
for. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Anyway, so much to my delight, a business day later, I got a response
Nice.
that says they're having a tough time finding VOD video on demand placement for the film, but they've been talking with Mubi and are hopeful. And I didn't know. I knew Mubi existed in other countries, but I didn't.
We
know.
don't have it here.
We do.
Wait, what?
We do have Mubi here.
Huh? What?
Do we? I think
Do we?
might.
Well, it was on my Apple TV, and I could subscribe to it.
Yeah,
But-
we do have it.
Yeah, and it's kind of like a Criterion Channel Lite in terms
Yeah.
of the streaming.
It's like
content.
more curated kind
Correct.
of arty movies.
It's also
Yeah.
not cheap.
Oh, well, yeah.
Um,
So we don't have it here.
anyway,
we
so-
don't have it.
so they're hoping to bring it to Mubi,
Yeah.
which would be amazing. So it could have more eyeballs on it.
Mm.
And they're also wanting to have it available for rental and purchase via Apple TV. But the long term goal is to produce a physical release, as apparently there are some amazing extra materials to accompany the disc. So please, dear listeners, if you're interested in watching a haunting philosophical movie, which is also a coming of age story set in Canada, that is one to watch. Whether you watch it on Mubi, you rent it or buy it.
Yeah.
I personally will be buying the best version of the disc physically that I can possibly buy. I'll sell my car. It's just one of those things. It's
Yeah.
one of those movies for me.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's one of those things for the boys as well.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know how much we talked about it on air. I know we've been talking about it a lot off air, but ever since Callum saw the movie at MIF, he hasn't stopped talking about it.
I think about it weekly. Literally,
And-
how sad is that?
Yeah, no, it's a very
You see an amazing movie one time and one time only.
but that's I mean that would make it sort of even more special.
Well, I remember
but also
after we saw it, James said that's unfortunately James says that's sometimes that happens with film festivals.
I've seen a couple of movies that at film festivals that just never came out ever, and
It's like
probably never will.
It's like just like a one-off experience
Yeah, but
for you and the audience.
what I thought was weird is because The Maiden is a sort of unconventional movie, but not more so than a lot of like A24 movies or a lot of other kind of indie movies. So
Yeah.
I thought it was weird that Callum kept talking about it, and he kept checking online when's this coming out, and like he said, all the other MIF movies we saw were getting wide releases or even physical media releases, or at least there's news out there saying they're coming out, but
Yeah.
Maiden was nothing. So this is really good news that
It's coming.
it's coming, and hopefully
On a related note,
yeah.
the hype online for Late Night with the Devil is glorious.
Oh yeah.
Those directors must be they're greenlit. Whatever
Yeah.
they want to do next, completely greenlit.
Yeah.
I'm sure companies are throwing money at them as we speak.
We should try and revisit it when it comes out here.
Oh yeah, I want to
Like,
see it again.
like all the people in like America and stuff like that who've never seen it are like, I can't wait, this looks amazing. Oh
Yeah.
my god. And I'm sitting there like, man, I saw this last year. You guys are missing out.
But it's the same with like Perfect Days or a lot of other movies we saw, which are just coming out now.
Yeah.
Anatomy of a Fall. You know, we were like, this is the best movie ever. And then like a year later, it's coming out, you know, on wide release, and, you know, it's nominated
People
for
are
Oscars
loving
or
it,
whatever. And we're like, haha, we already saw that. But it's cool.
That's
Like,
old now.
yeah. But yeah, no, but
No, you know what I mean.
yeah, but it's cool that we did get to see it when we did, and it's also cool that we can be part of those voices saying it's awesome. Everyone else should go and see it, and that's what we want to do with The Maiden, where it's it's like when it does come out, that's one you need to see.
I think people are going to have complicated feelings about it. Because
Yeah.
even in our screening, there were people, well, you know, I was going to the toilet or waiting for you guys to go to the toilet.
After, yeah.
And there were like people who just straight up didn't get the ending.
Yeah.
And to us, it was so obvious.
I think also
So
like
it's-
even
yeah.
but I think we talked about this when we talked about the movie in our myth kind of reviews. Like even while I was watching it, I was like, I don't know if Callum and Nathan are gonna like this movie.
That's because you're a hater.
No, because I was like, we all like weird movies. You know, we're all Lynch fans, whatever. But there are sometimes, like I was really enjoying it, but I'm like, there are some times where you guys are just like, no, enough is enough.
No, mate,
No,
give me
no,
all the
no.
long takes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but then
no.
at the end of it, Callum was like, "That's the best movie ever." So, yeah.
Just give us a 10-minute shot of a person walking down the street. Like,
100%.
That was my favorite part of the movie, where she's
Yeah,
walking
yeah.
and there's like the tractors and
Yeah.
oh,
I've
man.
seen it. I can't remember what it was, but there was a film where that had a long take, a really long take of a dude just like smoking on a bench, and I was like, and it was at nighttime too, so it was like the bench was lit up. It was like a bus station bench.
Hook it to my veins.
Yeah, and I was like, that's
Dude,
just great.
What's the
that's our movie. We're gonna make a very short movie. It's just gonna be like a guy sitting there for like 90 minutes.
Except ours will be like really freaking pretentious and lame. What's it called? Too Old to Die Young. Nicholas Winding Refn's Amazon series.
Yeah,
Like
lots of silences.
The first episode's like 90 minutes long, and the first like 10 minutes
Is it the
is
cop
just
standing
like cop
outside of a
standing
cop car?
next to
Yeah.
his car, like just standing there
Yeah,
and standing there and standing there, and it just keeps going. And I'm like, this is the best show ever made.
cinema. Yeah. Yeah.
If you can get away with it, yeah, why
That's
not? That's real talent. If you like make a good movie where it's just
It's that thing where it's an unspeakable thing that attracts you to it. It's hard to define to people. Like, why would you be so interested in those scenes? But I think it's because it's like it captures a moment.
yeah,
And
I
we're so
think
used to moments disappearing really quickly.
especially like mainstream movies, not just modern movies,
Cut,
but mainstream.
cut,
it's
cut,
like
cut.
you're
Yeah.
moving, and it's very plot heavy.
Yeah.
Whereas you know a lot of great movies, and especially with The Maiden, it's the plot's not important.
It's
Not
about the
about that.
feelings.
It's about the atmosphere, the feeling, the themes, the
About the emotion,
emotion. Yeah.
emotion and immersion.
yeah.
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 You know, you get transported to a world for a little while. You know,
Exactly.
It's,
It's the power of cinema.
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's episodes like this that I'm like, it kind of makes us in the studio here. So, like, what can we do to kind of spread these messages more? What can we do to make people?
Well,
see
they got to
these kinds
release
of
it
movies?
first,
Well,
Nathan.
yeah.
But I should have realized I should have put a little hand cam in there, release it myself.
Cam.
Oh, yeah.
Cam
My
Rip.
phone. I'm just.
Subscribe to the Tuesday Review Plus.
So, yeah, subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's where we put all our pirated cam
Rips.
rips, film festival movies.
Yeah. No,
Yeah, but I mean that's we don't have a lot of listeners. We don't have a lot of time to prepare for the show. But when we do get an opportunity to see a movie that most mainstream audiences probably wouldn't get to see, that's awesome. But also, if we can promote it in any way, even if it's just like doing one tweet that gets like one like, hopefully that just means one of our listeners will
yeah,
be
definitely.
aware of it and
Yeah.
get to spread the word
Well, look, we'll definitely try and hit up Max and see if we can get an interview about
We'll
this.
try and
from
move the
someone.
about
algorithm.
Brightwood. Yeah,
About Brightwood.
Yeah.
Maybe even the Maiden. We're like, look, does someone want to talk to us about the Maiden?
Oh, dude, no, they don't exist. I looked.
maybe they'll exist for us. Maybe we'll have the exclusive
That's it.
behind the
Email
scenes.
the production company again, Callum. Be like, can we talk to someone?
Nah,
Yeah.
that's. I got my one response. I don't think the
Everyone
universe
gets
He
will-
doesn't
one,
want, yeah, he
yeah.
doesn't
I don't
want
think the
to
universe will
jinx
give me
it.
more than that.
Yeah, yeah.
And, this was a pleasant surprise for us. Because we only had, less than a week of notice for this episode.
Brightwood, yeah.
They hit us up and you're like, our movie's coming out on the 21st. We'd love you to review it. And we're like, the show goes out as a podcast on the 20th, so we better do it this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you're listening somehow and you're a movie producer, we'll always watch screeners.
Yeah.
If it- you know,
No,
like-
if you send it to us, and we'll interview. We want to interview as many people as
Yeah.
we can and
Yeah,
involve
well, I mean,
if we have time.
Our journey from last year when we decided we wanted to put more into the show. That includes us, doing the interviews, doing the hard work, doing the
Yeah.
legwork.
I do think next time, as soon as they, even if it is short notice,
Yeah.
we should be like,
We'll also up for
we
interviews,
also,
please.
yeah, it's like we also we like to talk to people
Yeah,
if
'cause
you can.
if you can, because also adds context to what we watch
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
it'll be a richer conversation if we had an interview, so like you could watch it,
Yeah.
talk about the movie, and then have a back and forth.
Also, we didn't really want to spoil anything because we want people to go and watch the movie.
Oh yeah, there's definitely
But-
things we'll talk about after the show.
Yeah, but to have a proper review and analysis, and like we sometimes do, is you have to do the full spoiler version.
So maybe we'll try that after,
yeah.
we'll release this episode and then we'll look, okay, can we have an interview and we can
yeah,
have a
I'm
more
going to do a
discussion
spoilery.
later
Yeah,
on. But yeah, so, if you're listening, one of our beloved listeners,
Hmm.
what would you like to see us do? As always, we throw the question out, if you want to see us do anything, we can try and...
who do you think would survive the loop?
Oh, man, I think we'd kill each other pretty quick.
I think we wouldn't kill each other. We'd just all lay down and
Callum's
give
the
up.
strongest of us. He
Not-
does
not
the most
emotionally.
lifting.
Physically,
Not
Physically.
emotionally. Yeah, yeah.
actually,
yeah.
no, I'm the strongest. I beat the machine,
That's
Oh, that's
true.
right.
That's about
I
quickness.
forget.
the punch
yeah, that's
machine.
also
I
true.
forget James is the alpha. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm one punch man. I
I
can
mean,
do one
I
punch
think-
and then that's it.
I think Alan would win if we don't outrun him.
He would, yeah. He couldn't outrun us, but he could probably outsmart us.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you haven't seen the movie, none of this really makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, look, we still got a little bit of time. What else have we been watching?
I watched Antlers, which was awesome.
Tell us about Antlers, Callum.
Horror thriller, produced by Guillermo.
Guillermo.
My favorite Del Toro.
I don't know,
I don't
Benicio.
know.
We,
Benicio's
we,
pretty good.
we do love Benicio.
And it was directed by, let me pull it up. Where are we? Directed by Scott Cooper. And it's a 2021 horror thriller about a small town in Oregon where a meth head disappears. Well, I don't want to spoil things.
Yeah.
But it's about a little boy. A woman moves to the town, or she's new to the town. Like, it's complicated. My memory's failing me. I'm sorry, listeners.
Just tell us tell us how the movie made you
No.
feel.
But anyway, so a teacher notices a student making disturbing drawings in his notebook, and so she thinks that something's not quite right at home, and so she investigates, and it leads her down a dark path, and there's monster involved, or is there a monster involved? I have to watch it and find out. And it's a spooky, atmospheric, small town horror movie, which I love. I love American small towns, especially like in this movie where they're surrounded by mountains and pine trees and
Twin Peaks, baby.
yes, it has those vibes.
Yeah.
And
Pacific Northwest.
And her brother is Jesse Plemons as the sheriff.
Jesse Plemons is in it?
He's the sheriff.
Oh, now I have to watch
and
it.
he's great in it. He's so good in it.
Because I remember seeing the trailer when the movie came out and said, oh, that looks okay, and just
Yeah, it was
never
great.
saw it. And I heard it wasn't particularly great, but you really liked it, and
I really
Jesse
liked it,
Plemons is in
yeah.
it, so I guess I have to watch it now.
But like, I love small town horror movies,
Yeah.
And it's got some pretty tense moments in it. There's one moment that was scary, but the rest were just kind of mid horror. You know what I mean? Like, not really.
So it's not really super scary or anything.
No. But it looks great. Like, it's some of the CG's not the best.
Yeah, that's...
But that's all at the end. So by the time you get that far in, I'm all the way in anyway.
yeah, but if they don't stick the landing and keeps it from being a great movie...
So when I watched it, right, I'm like, so when does the little boy start growing horns? Anyway, yeah, it turns out that that's the movie Horns, not Atlas.
Yeah, you were thinking about the Daniel Radcliffe movie.
I was, yeah. I even told my mum. She's like, "What are you watching?" I'm like, "I'm watching a movie about a guy who grows horns," and it's Atlas. It's not horns. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I really liked it. Jesse Plemons, A+.
Yeah, he's the best.
Yeah, just great.
Hmm.
What about you, James?
I don't think I've watched much. I've been
You watched some older movies lately.
I did.
I can now watch. I can see what you're doing now.
Yeah, no, it's good because you guys can pick what you want me to focus on, and also listeners can follow us on Letterboxd, and then they can say, "Hey, you didn't talk about this. Can you talk about this?"
Or hey, your opinion is bad and you should feel bad.
Yeah, and then we can tell them why we're right and they're wrong.
That's it.
Which one did you want me to talk about, Carl?
The setup. Why not?
Okay, so I watched a 1949 kind of film noir called The Setup, which is a movie with Robert Ryan where he plays a kind of down on his luck kind of aging boxer, and not even like heavyweight like champion boxer, just like those little
What is the term? Welterweight?
Yeah, no, like he's like midweight, but like the actual championship he's in is just like a small town.
Oh, yeah.
It's like not even a big deal.
It's a small promotion, yeah.
Yeah, it's something like that. And basically it's about his manager takes a deal from like a mobster for him to take a dive and throw the fight so that they can obviously, the bet against him and win or whatever. But they don't tell the fighter because he's never really been that good. And he's like, he's probably going to lose anyway. And so it's basically like it's set in sort of real time, where it's just about the leading up to the fight, and the manager's doing, dodgy deals under the table. He's getting ready to fight. He's like, I can feel it. I'm going to win this one. His wife is like, I'm sick of you getting hurt. Like, I don't want you to do this anymore. He's like, no, just one more. If I win this one, then I can move up in the ranks and whatever and get bigger fights. And so it's a really simple, small movie. It mostly takes place just in the sort of the
gym,
the change room, and
Yep.
then the boxing ring and the not the grandstand, but all the seating, the audience,
grandstand. Yeah.
that, and then there's like
Auditorium.
and then there's the street outside. But like I said, it's like small town, so it's not even a real big thing. And it's shot really well, beautiful black and white cinematography, and it's just really effective. Even though it's a simple story, it's just really effective. The way it introduces all the characters. And it also does this cool thing where you kind of revisit people in the audience over and over again. And so you get to know the people in the audience. Like there's
like conversations and kind of
not even
between
that. It's just
people.
like people watching the fight. It kind of cuts back to them every once in a while. And like it's like there's one guy who's listening to the baseball game on his handheld radio while he's watching the boxing match. There's like a really big fat guy who every time the camera cuts to him, he's eating something different.
That's funny.
There's a sort of married couple who the wife is like, oh, this is too violent for me. But then every time it cuts to her, she's like, kill him, kill him. And the husband is just like, what? And then there's a blind guy who has his friend tell him what's going on in the fight. And so you've got all these kind of surrounding characters. And then, they got the main characters, and they're going on. It's a really great movie. It's pretty short. And yeah, I recommend it. It's, Scorsese said it's like one of the best like boxing movies he's ever seen. And he directly sort of influenced him when he was making Raging Bull.
And how did you watch this one?
I got it on Blu-ray.
Nice. Okay.
It came in like a film noir set.
Nice.
And like I haven't had a lot of time to watch movies, and it was.
Okay. You making a stack?
No, I have to. Yeah. I see. This is the thing is I don't have time, I'm like, so I can do what Callum's doing is like make my own stack and just get through those. But even then, I'm just like, basically one of the reasons I chose the setup is because of running time. I was just like, it's short and I don't have a lot of time. So yeah, I just picked it out.
Excellent.
Yeah, good movie.
On the note of boxing movies and stuff like that, I wish Alan was here for this part. He's had to leave the studio. Netflix is doing their very first live sports event, which is boxing.
Okay.
And that's kind of interesting. Netflix moving in a different direction.
As long as they don't make us pay for it, I'm down.
I assume it's like
Well,
a
if
live
it's not
event
an
that's
extra
included.
thing, yeah.
Because Netflix is playing with live events recently. They have like a live cooking show.
Okay.
It's on like for us. It's on like in Melbourne time. It's like 10 a.m. on a Wednesday or something. There's like a comedian who cooks dinner. It's a live event every week. It's a different guest. So they're playing with live content, and it's interesting to see them moving into sports because they could be a major disruptor. And they're partnering with the WWE to
I heard that.
go into wrestling
in America. Yeah.
and they're doing boxing. The main event they're sort of starting with is Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul.
Oh,
Or
God. Yuck.
But that aside, we're not talking about
Yeah.
the card.
Yeah.
Gets the people going.
It gets the people going, sure. We all have a specific favorite who may or may not bite people's ears off. But,
Hopefully one of them gets killed. And
I mean, we know
and
which
not-
one we want.
yeah, and you know which one we want.
But it's certainly interesting to see. Alb's coming back in. It's certainly interesting to see Netflix moving into like kind of live sports area. And
I think we've had this discussion a lot. Like we're at the point now with streaming, whereas like I'm done. I don't care. This is just cable TV now.
yeah.
Now is live
No, but
sporting events.
But sports is an area where we're still kind of held back by only really a couple of major players. And
Yeah.
for Netflix to move in and say
But-
we're going to host some live events, that's a little bit exciting. And
Yeah,
it
for
allows
now-
a global reach where you're not having to pay $100 to see the boxing.
Yeah, it's exciting for now until they're like, oh, by the way, you have to pay extra for the sports package.
True.
In a couple years' time. So, or you have to pay extra for no ads.
The sports package will always have ads because that's screw you.
Exactly. So we're just back at cable TV.
Yeah.
Might as well just go back to friggin'
But
Foxtel.
what do you think, Alan? Netflix is getting into live content.
Look-
Over a variety, not just the combat sports.
I think considering that they've raised subscription fees and done everything of that sort, anything to distinguish themselves from like the 20 other subscription services there are is probably going to be helpful.
And what
But-
do you think about the Mike Tyson fight? Is it interesting, or is he just too old now? What do you
No,
think?
I reckon enough steroids and training. Well,
Enough human growth hormone.
and human growth hormone. He'll get back into it.
If they trank Jake Paul first, yeah. maybe.
Given what a machine he was in his actual prime, I would say he can put up a good fight. I'm not going to say he's going to demolish Jake Paul
Didn't
because
we watch?
I
Jake Paul's
think-
proved himself to be a reasonable fighter.
look,
Did
I
we
think
watch the
Nothing
Tyson
top tier.
fight?
We
we
did.
have, but,
Yeah, and
but
that
he
was
was pulling
disappointing.
he was pulling his punches.
Yeah. Oh
You
yeah.
know,
That's so they had contracts.
That was
yeah,
two
yeah,
old
yeah.
dudes that respect each other, just trying to get the
He
bag.
was pulling his punches. You could see he wasn't aiming for the vital
No,
spots
I remember.
in that fight.
Apparently, they had contracts with another.
Yeah.
Get through
The only worry I think is going to be with this specific fight is it's going to be Mike Tyson's going to be like they're going to tell him to behave. It's going to be like we're giving you $50 million. Don't destroy the boy.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And at the same time, on Jake Paul's front, like money obviously is a great motivator for a lot of things. So I understand that. But you win, it's like, well, you beat an old man up.
Yeah.
You lose, you lost to an old man. There really isn't that big of a win for him in my opinion. Money aside,
It is
If
a weird. It is
if
a,
he
he doesn't
was-
even need the money.
if
Man.
he
It's
was-
a weird card.
If he was an actual like boxer / athlete,
he
you-
wouldn't want to fight Mike.
No, you'd be like, it's a great honor to fight Mike Tyson, whether he wins or not. Jake Paul seems like someone to me who's a psychopath and is just like, I want money and I want fame, and I don't think there's any respect for the sport or for the opponent.
no, probably not. At the very least, like it'll get obviously eyeballs because there are at this point an innumerable amount of people that want to see one of the Paul brothers get their ass beat.
Well, that's what we were just saying. I hope one of them dies, and you know which one it is.
But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if Mike pulls his punches in this fight too. Or if he's like, you know what, no, I want to teach this kid a lesson. Because again, maybe there won't be such that hesitation if he's fighting someone that's a lot younger than him, has more vitality. Again, Mike
And
Tyson
if-
fighting another older boxer, it's like, we don't really want to brain
Yeah,
damage a guy.
There's that
like-
mutual respect. Whereas
Yeah.
if Jake Paul decides to get cheeky with him, Mike
Just
might
one cheeky
bring
little shot to the kidneys.
might bring out the old school again. Given how much older he is, he's obviously never going to be his prime.
Yeah,
But
he's steroids.
Given that when he was in his prime, he was basically unstoppable.
Beast, yeah.
Yeah, he was an animal, straight up. Bringing him to something.
This is the man who
Akin.
famously wanted to get let into the gorilla enclosure to beat up a gorilla
Why?
because the gorilla was bullying other gorillas.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this is a man who is confident enough in his ability to literally fight gorillas.
He's also the man that most recently grabbed Hezbollah and started like snuggling him like a kid.
Yeah,
That's a
tickled
classic.
him and
That's a
stuff.
classic.
Yeah.
All right. I think we've had enough for tonight.
I reckon we'll talk about the fight if
But-
we can talk about it.
You
Yeah,
can
we'll have-
review the fight.
We're
it's,
not-
it's-
we're-
it's on Netflix. It's within
We're
our
not sports fans, but we'll probably talk about it.
I apologize to our listeners in advance.
Hey, this is Netflix related. It's in our wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought it's interesting, not just the fight. The
No,
fact
no,
that
yeah, but
Netflix is
the-
leaning into live
Yeah.
content is interesting in
Yeah.
itself. Thank you for listening, everyone. Please like and share the Tuesday Review Facebook page, the Instagram page and the Threads page, the Twitter page, the Newsmask page, and the Blue Sky page. And please like and share and subscribe to us on YouTube.
Yes, we're almost up to date.
We're almost up to date. I think probably by the end of the first week of April, we should be up to date.
Have
And
all
then-
our YouTube,
and then-
have all our old episodes
Yeah.
uploaded onto YouTube.
And then once we've done that, we can finally go back and look at some of the PAX footage, which we haven't put
Yeah,
up
some of
yet.
the interviews.
There's only so much time in a day.
Yes.
I'm thinking of starting to make some shorts to the channel as well.
Yeah, that would
any
be
support
good.
helps.
Because I occasionally listen to some of the episodes, particularly the ones I'm not in, because
Yeah.
I don't know that content. Some of the ones I am in, because I do like to send my own voice. But yeah, there's always a few funny key scenes that where we have a giggle like this.
They're pretty bad. though,
That'll-
aren't they? Those early ones.
Oh, yeah.
No, we can pull them out
we
every
can work
now
our
and
way back from
Yeah.
the
It's
more
just
recent one.
whatever I'm listening to. If I find a giggle, I'll probably jot that down. And
Yeah,
then,
that's a good idea.
proceed to
That's-
make
That'll
sure.
be a good way to get engagement and get more people to listen.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
someone will see the short and go, "Oh, that was a funny bit," and then they'll listen
Yeah.
to the full episode and realize how much we suck. And then
Yeah,
Yeah.
so thanks for listening, everyone. YouTube should be getting more exciting soon as we get closer to
yeah,
being up to date completely, and then we can explore some different sides of
Mm.
social media. We'll be back next week.
and yeah, make sure to check out Brightwood on Tubi or on the other platforms we mentioned before.
Yes,
Give it a go.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll be back next week. Adios, cousins.